It wasn't the rules that hurt me. It was the way she smiled as she handed them over, like I was an outsider being warned, not a daughter being welcomed. Adara stood in front of the mirror, smiling softly as the tailor adjusted her dress. Her friends and cousin Taju were around her, laughing, taking photos, and sharing sweet words. It was a special day, her dress fitting. The soft lace, the gentle music, the warm voices, it all felt like a dream. But then the door opened, then everything changed. Mama Bainika walked in without warning, holding her bag like a judge entering a courtroom. The room went silent. She didn't smile, didn't greet anyone. Her eyes went straight to Adara's dress. She walked around slowly, looking the dress up and down. Then, with a sharp tone, she said, this dress is too plain. Everyone looked at each other, confused. Adara stayed quiet. Mama Bainika kept going. It looks too village-like. It doesn't suit my son's bride. The joy in the room disappeared. The laughter stopped. Adara felt like she was being watched and judged, not celebrated. Her heart sank, but she still tried to stay calm. Then Mama Bainika smiled, just a little, and said something that felt like a slap. My son is a gem, she said, eyes locked on Adara. Make sure you shine, only when I let you. Some people chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. But Adara didn't laugh. It didn't sound like a joke. It felt like a warning. She wasn't being treated like family. She was being measured, tested, and told how small she should be. Adara looked in the mirror again, but this time, she didn't feel like a bride. She felt like a stranger in her own moment. And Mama Bainika. She sat down calmly, proud of what she said, as if she had done her duty. The dress fitting was supposed to be about love and beauty. But now, it felt more like a courtroom, and Adara was on trial.
The bridal shower was beautiful, flowers, music, and shiny decorations everywhere. It looked like something from a magazine. Mama Bainika had planned everything herself, down to the smallest detail. She made sure the food was perfect, the chairs were in order, and the guests were dressed their best. But something felt off. It didn't feel like Adara's celebration. It felt like a show. When Adara walked in wearing a soft smile and a simple dress, the room went quiet for a second. Guests looked at her, some smiled, others whispered. She could feel it, like she had walked into a room full of hidden questions. She greeted everyone politely and sat down, trying to enjoy the moment. One by one, she opened gifts. Plates, bedsheets, love notes, everyone cheered and clapped. Then came Mama Bainika's turn. She stood up slowly, holding a shiny envelope. This, she said, is my gift. The most important one. Adara smiled politely and opened it. Inside was a neatly typed paper, actually many pages. It was a list. A long list. At the top it said, Rules for a Successful Marriage. Everyone leaned in curious. Adara read the first one out loud. Rule number 1, always call me before making big decisions. The room went quiet. She flipped the page. Rule number 7, never discipline my grandchildren in front of me. A few guests laughed awkwardly, trying to ease the tension. But Adara didn't laugh. She just sat still, staring at the paper. 32 rules. All written like commands. Some were strange. Some were controlling. And some felt like traps. It didn't feel like advice from a loving mother. It felt like a manual to control her life. Mama Bainika stood there smiling, proud of her gift, like she expected applause. Like she had done something kind. Adara's hand shook a little, but she kept a calm face. Inside, though, something changed. She thought this party was meant to welcome her into the family. But this gift told her something else. It told her that she wasn't being accepted, she was being tested, shaped, told how to behave. Guests avoided eye contact. Some whispered. Others just sat quietly, unsure what to do. Adara closed the envelope slowly, placed it on the table, and smiled faintly, not because she was okay, but because she now understood. This wasn't a shower of love. It was a shower of expectations. And now she had a decision to make. Later that evening, Adara sat quietly on the edge of the bed, holding the envelope with the 32 rules. Her fingers ran over the pages again, but this time her hands didn't shake. Her heart did. She had smiled during the bridal shower, acted strong, but inside she felt crushed. This wasn't how love was supposed to feel. It didn't feel like a warm welcome. It felt like a warning. Fumba walked into the room, looking tired but happy. Everyone said the party went well, he said. Adara looked up at him and handed him the papers. Did you know about this? She asked softly. He took the envelope, opened it, and scanned through the first few rules. Then he let out a small laugh, the kind people use when they're trying to pretend something isn't a big deal. He said that's just how she is. She means well. She just wants things done her way. Adara's face didn't change. She just stared at him. 32 rules, Fumba. About my life. Our life. He nodded slowly, still holding the paper. It's not that serious. She probably didn't mean it like that. But to Adara it was serious. Every rule felt like a chain. Every line said, you belong to us now and here's how you'll behave. But what hurt most wasn't the list, it was Fumba's reaction. His silence. His laughter. His excuses. She looked at him and asked, if I gave your mother a list of rules, would you say it's not that serious? Fumba didn't answer. And in that silence, Adara heard the truth. He wouldn't protect her. Not from his mother. Not from control. Maybe not even from disrespect. That silence spoke louder than anything. She stood up, walked to the small table near the window, and picked up a pen and paper. No shaking hands this time. No nervous smile. Just calm, clear purpose. She began to write. Just one sentence. Just one rule. She folded the note neatly and placed it beside her. Fumba looked over, confused. What's that? She looked at him and said, if she can give me 32 rules for marriage, I can give her one in return. Fumba frowned. What rule? Adara looked him in the eyes, calm and steady, and said, respect. That's all I ask. Just one rule. Respect me. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. But her words were strong. And they stayed in the air even after the room went quiet. Adara knew now if she didn't draw a line, she would slowly disappear in someone else's story. A quiet life under someone else's control. But not anymore. Not with this one rule. And this time she would make sure she was heard. The next morning, the family gathered again for brunch at Mama Bainika's house. The table was long and shining, filled with plates, glasses, and polished cutlery. Everything looked perfect on the outside, but the air felt heavy. Tense. Like everyone was pretending to smile. Adara sat quietly beside Fumba, dressed simply, her hands resting on her lap. She wasn't talking much, just observing. Mama Bainika was at the head of the table, smiling as she poured tea and made small comments about the food and who should be doing what after the wedding. Every word from her mouth sounded like control in a sweet tone. Nobody mentioned the list from the day before. But Adara knew it was still in the room, sitting quietly inside every pause, every fake smile. She had spent all night thinking about it. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want drama. She just wanted one thing, respect. As Mama Bainika leaned forward to refill someone's cup, Adara reached into her bag and pulled out a small folded card. Without a word, she gently slid it under Mama Bainika's teacup. The older woman noticed the movement and looked down, raising her brow. What's this? She asked. Adara looked up, her voice soft but steady. You gave me 32 rules yesterday, she said. I only have one. Everyone went quiet. Forks stopped clinking. Fumba looked at her, unsure of what she was doing. Taju, sitting across from her, gave a small nod of support. Mama Bainika slowly lifted her teacup and picked up the card. She opened it with careful fingers. Inside, in clean handwriting, it said just one word. Respect. No threats. No anger. No shouting. Just a message. Adara looked directly at her. I'm not asking for much. I just want to be treated like a human being. Like someone your son chose with love, not someone who must earn your approval every day. The room stayed silent. Mama Bainika's face didn't show much, but her hands froze for a moment. Adara continued, still calm. I don't want to fight. I want peace. But I won't give up who I am just to be accepted. There was no drama in her tone, just truth. She wasn't loud. But she was heard. The whole table felt the shift. For the first time, Adara had spoken not like a guest or a girl trying to fit in, but like a woman who knew her worth. Mama Bainika said nothing. She simply folded the card and placed it beside her plate. The brunch continued, but everything had changed. The message had been delivered, not through shouting or tears, but with quiet strength. And Adara, for the first time in days, felt light. Because finally, she had spoken her truth. Inside the folded card that Adara slipped under Mama Bainika's teacup was something simple, but powerful. It wasn't just words. It was her truth. When Mama Bainika opened the card later, she found a small note and an old photo inside. The note was written in Adara's calm handwriting. It said, respect me or I will not marry your son. Just one sentence. No anger. No begging. No long speech. Just a clear choice. Beside the note was a photo. Worn at the edges but full of meaning. It was a picture of Adara as a 12-year-old girl, sitting on a hospital bed. She was holding her mother's hand tightly. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. Her mother looked weak but peaceful. It was their last picture together. Under the photo, Adara had written a simple line. "This woman taught me dignity. I won't trade that for diamonds." And that was the message. Adara wasn't trying to fight for control or win a battle. She just wanted to be treated with the same love and value her mother once gave her. She wanted to be seen, not shaped. Loved, not managed. The photo wasn't about getting sympathy. It was a reminder that before anyone else told her who she should be, there was a woman, her mother, who showed her what self-respect looked like, who taught her to stand tall, speak softly, and never lose herself trying to please others. Adara could have shouted, argued, or cried, but she chose this instead. A quiet photo, a clear sentence, and a memory that shaped her whole life. Mama Bainika held the card in her hand for a long time. She didn't say much, but the silence around her felt different now, heavier. She wasn't just dealing with a young girl anymore. She was facing a woman who had already survived loss, grown through pain, and learned the value of self-worth from someone who mattered deeply. Adara's message was simple. She would not beg to be accepted. She wouldn't let love come with conditions. And no matter how beautiful the wedding or rich the family, if respect wasn't there, she wouldn't be either. It wasn't a threat. It was a boundary. And in that quiet moment, Mama Bainika was left to decide what mattered more, control, or keeping the woman her son loved. The photo said everything Adara couldn't put into words. She had lost her mother, but she hadn't lost herself. And she wasn't about to start now. Mama Bainika didn't like being challenged. She had expected Adara to stay quiet, to follow her rules without question. But the card, the photo, the one simple demand for respect, it made her feel small in front of her family. And she didn't take it well. The very next day she canceled the engagement dinner. No explanation to the guests, just a short message. Due to personal reasons, the event has been postponed. But inside the house, the real reason was clear. She started whispering things to Fumba. At first, small comments. "She's not from a strong background. You know that." Then it got worse. "She's trying to divide the family. She embarrassed me in front of everyone. She doesn't respect elders. Do you want a wife like that?" Fumba listened quietly. He didn't argue. He didn't defend Adara. He just nodded slowly, unsure of what to say. He loved Adara, but this was his mother, the woman who raised him, the one who had always made the decisions in the house. And now he was caught in between. When Adara came to speak with him, hoping they could stand together, she saw it in his eyes, doubt. Not hate, not anger, just hesitation. And that was even worse. She asked him gently, "Do you believe her?" He looked down. "I don't know," he whispered. "Maybe you could have handled things differently." That sentence broke something inside Adara. Handle things differently? All she asked for was respect. She didn't yell, didn't insult anyone. She didn't embarrass the family, she only stood up for herself. And still it was too much. That's when she knew. If she stayed silent now, she'd have to keep quiet forever. If she accepted this treatment once, it would become normal. And one day she would lose herself in the middle of someone else's expectations. So she stood up. No shouting. No drama. Just quiet strength. She looked Fumba in the eye and said, "If you can't speak for me now, you won't speak for me later." Then she picked up her bag and walked away. Not out of pride, but out of self-love. She had given everything a chance, respect, patience, kindness. But now she was choosing peace. Silence is a choice. And Fumba's silence had said enough. Adara didn't slam the door. She didn't make a scene. She simply left, quietly but clearly. Because sometimes the strongest voice is the one that walks away. The house felt different after Adara left. Quieter. Colder. Fumba came home from work and didn't hear laughter or smell her cooking. No soft music. No gentle voice asking how his day went. Just silence. At first he tried to act like everything was normal. Maybe she just needed time, he thought. Maybe she'd come back. But as days passed, the silence became heavy. It followed him everywhere, in the living room, in the kitchen, in their empty bedroom. One evening, while cleaning the dining table, Fumba found the envelope again, the same one from the bridal shower. He opened it slowly and looked at the list Mama Bainika had written. 32 rules, all printed neatly. He read them one by one, this time with clearer eyes. Rule number 1, always call me before making big decisions. Rule number 7, never discipline my grandchildren in front of me. Rule number 15, don't visit your own family without informing me first. He felt a lump in his throat. How had he laughed at this before? How did he think this was normal? Just then, his younger sister, Zara, walked in. She saw him holding the paper inside. "You're still reading that list?" she asked gently. Fumba nodded slowly. "She didn't even get angry," he said. "She just left." Zara sat across from him and looked at him seriously. "Can I ask you something?" He nodded. "If this list came from Adara's mother, would you still marry her?" Fumba looked at her, stunned. He didn't answer right away. Zara continued, "If Adara's mom told you what to do, how to act, what to say, and you couldn't defend yourself, would you still feel loved?" Fumba looked back down at the list. He didn't need to say anything. The answer was already clear. Adara had never tried to control him. She had only asked for one thing, respect. And he didn't stand up for her. He stayed quiet when she needed him the most. That night, when everyone was asleep, Fumba sat in the living room alone. He stared at the list again, thinking about Adara's smile, her kindness, her strength. Then without another thought, he tore the list in half. The sound of paper ripping echoed in the quiet room. He didn't need those rules. He needed her. And now he finally understood. Sometimes love means protecting the one you care about, even if it means standing up to your own family. But now the question was, had he realized it too late? Mama Bainika called for a family meeting. She told everyone it was important and that the matter needed to be handled quickly. Her voice was calm, but her heart was set on one thing, ending the engagement. She believed Adara had caused too much trouble. In her eyes, Adara didn't know how to respect elders, didn't know her place, and was trying to break the family apart. So she gathered relatives, close family friends, and of course Fumba. She expected him to speak against Adara, to admit she wasn't the right woman for their family. She even practiced what she would say, just in case Adara didn't show up. But what Mama Bainika didn't expect was that Adara would walk in anyway. The room went silent when the door opened. Adara stepped in, dressed in a simple outfit, no loud makeup, no fancy jewelry. Just grace, calm and quiet strength. Right beside her was her cousin Taju, standing tall and protective, like always. Some people turned their heads. Others stared in surprise. A few even whispered, "She came?" Adara didn't flinch. She looked at everyone in the room, then gently took a seat without waiting for permission. Mama Bainika cleared her throat and began to speak. Her words were slow but sharp. She talked about respect, tradition, and how Adara had embarrassed the family. She spoke like a queen defending her castle, expecting others to nod along. Fumba sat silently, torn between the woman he loved and the mother who raised him. When Mama Bainika finally stopped talking, the room went quiet again. All eyes turned to Adara. She didn't rush. She didn't argue. She just looked around the room, then finally said, "I didn't come here to fight. I came to speak with peace." Her voice was soft, but it carried. "I'm not here to take over. I'm not here to sit on a throne or control anyone's son. I only want a life where I'm respected, not managed." She paused and looked at Fumba. "If your family can't see me as I am, I won't shrink just to make them comfortable." Her words landed heavy in the room. No shouting. No crying. Just truth. Taja sat beside her silently, proud. Mama Bainika had no words. She wasn't expecting this kind of calm confidence. She thought Adara would be defensive, maybe angry. But instead, Adara showed up with nothing but truth and strength. A woman who knows her worth doesn't need to scream it. She just needs to say it once and mean it. And that's exactly what Adara did. The room didn't explode. It went quiet. Because for the first time, everyone saw Adara clearly, not as a girl trying to fit in, but as a woman who would never beg to belong. The room was still after Adara spoke. No one moved. No one had anything left to say. Her words had changed the air. She had come with calm, but her message had shaken something in everyone's heart. Fumba sat quietly for a moment, then slowly stood up. His eyes met Adara's. There was no more confusion in his face, no more fear. Just a clear decision. He walked over to her and without asking, gently took her hand in his. "I choose you," he said softly. "We'll build our life from the ground up, even if it means standing apart from everyone else." Adara didn't smile big or cry. She just nodded and her eyes filled with a soft peace. She had waited to hear those words, not out of need, but out of respect. The room stayed silent. Mama Bainika was frozen in her seat. Her lips were tight, her eyes blinking quickly. She stared at their hands, joined together like a quiet promise. For years, she had controlled everything in the house. She gave the orders, set the rules, made every choice. She had always believed that her son would never go against her. But now he stood with Adara, not in anger but in love. That moment was her defeat, not because anyone yelled, but because they didn't. Because no one had to fight. They just chose peace without her. Her fingers gripped the side of the chair tightly. Her mouth opened to speak, but no words came out. Then slowly, tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She just sat there, crying silently. She was losing her son, not to a woman, but to a man. He was becoming a man who could think for himself, who could love without fear, who could see truth even when it was uncomfortable. Fumba looked at her, his voice gentle but steady. I still love you, Mama. But I won't let love turn into control. Mama Bainika lowered her eyes. Everyone in the room felt it, that this wasn't just about marriage. It was about freedom. About breaking cycles. About choosing love that didn't come with conditions. Adara squeezed Fumba's hand not to hold on but to say thank you without words. This wasn't a loud revolution. There was no shouting, no storm. It was quiet, but it was powerful. Because sometimes, the biggest change happens when people finally stop pretending and start standing. And in that moment, they did just that. Together. Weeks passed, and the noise had faded. No more family meetings. No more rules. No more drama. Adara and Fumba decided to keep their wedding simple. No huge crowd. No loud music. Just a small, peaceful ceremony by the lake, surrounded by a few close friends and loved ones who truly supported them. The sun was slowly setting, casting a warm golden light across the water. The wind was gentle. Birds flew quietly overhead. Everything felt calm, honest and real, just like the love they were about to seal with their vows. There were no long speeches. No fancy programs. No stage filled with decorations. And definitely no lists. Just two people standing hand in hand, ready to start a life they chose with their hearts, not with pressure. Fumba looked at Adara, his eyes soft. I choose you again, he whispered. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Adara smiled and whispered back. And I choose to walk beside you, not behind you, not in front of you, but beside you. Everyone watching was silent. Some wiping away tears. It wasn't a grand show, but it was deep, it was pure, and it was unforgettable. At the very back, standing quietly, was Mama Bainika. She didn't wear her usual proud expression. She wasn't giving orders or watching for mistakes. She was quiet, still, watching the son she raised become his own man. Watching the woman she once tried to control now walk into her future with grace and dignity. She didn't clap. She didn't cry this time. She just stood there, slowly learning what love with respect truly looks like. For the first time, she didn't try to take the spotlight. She didn't try to change the moment. She just let it happen. And Adara? She smiled. Not because she won. Not because she proved anything to anyone. But because she didn't have to shrink herself to fit. She didn't have to beg to be accepted. She didn't lose her voice in order to be heard. She stood tall as herself and love found her there. As the sun dipped lower behind the trees, Adara and Fumba walked away from the altar together, hand in hand, hearts full. They weren't just starting a marriage. They were starting a new kind of family. One built on choice, peace, and mutual respect. And that, more than anything, was worth celebrating. Did this story touch your heart? Tag someone who believes love should never come with conditions. Drop a respect in the comments if you believe in choosing peace over pride. Pushpin, save this for the day you need a reminder. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. Share this with someone who needs courage to walk away from what dims their light.